The sea level rise has impacted Greenwich by threatening the dikes that protect our township from flooding. And these dikes were built hundreds of years ago for agricultural purposes. Um, and they have since become flood protection dikes because much of the community has been built behind them. Well, in the end of the 90s, we lost a dike that had been protecting our village from flooding. It had been built in the 60s by the federal government, the Natural Resources Conservation Service. Um, and what they had done is they had moved the alignment of the dike from the riverbank, where it was originally built by the early settlers, a few hundred feet further inland. And they built it out of non-native material. The good old-fashioned dikes were built out of native mud, but regulations did not allow the use of that material, which would normally just be dredged out of the marsh. So they used gravel and sand instead, and the dike lasted about 20 years before it was finally breached by a storm. So in that particular location, we have now no protection, and much of our farmland has been impacted. We've lost 100 acres or more of hardwood forest that's been inundated. Homes are threatened. The Township Road is underwater frequently because this dike has failed. And so our purpose is to rebuild that dike in either the same or a different location using a different technology, not using just heavy earthen material, but a new design that we've identified as being appropriate for that purpose that would prevent the flooding. Well, currently we're flooded almost every month on a full moon whenever the tide is high. We'll see township roads flooding, basements flooding, farmland being flooded, and then, of course, the king tides annually, and anytime there is a nor'easter, there's really significant flooding in town. And it threatens our marina businesses. Boats on stands and so on can be toppled and moved around. During Sandy, we had a lot of boats moved around and a lot of damage to infrastructure. We're a very small community, and we're very limited resources. We've been doing everything we can to cooperate with our neighbors regionally and working with the county and state to address these issues. But we're limited in our capacity because of our small size.
So what kind of support do you need?
Well, this is why I'm so interested in this conference and why I'm so excited about it, is that the purpose being to bring this sea level rise and coastal flooding issue to the national level. So I'm here primarily to learn, but also to raise my community's profile as much as I can. But I think the biggest thing to be accomplished at this conference is raising this issue to a national level, because it really is, sea level rise really is a national security concern, actually. Well, there are different levels. At our level, at the local level, if we're just going to address this on a local basis, we could benefit from an Army Corps project which would address flood protection. We are the river that we're on, the Cohansey River, is a federal waterway, and the Army Corps has authority to help us if they can show that there's a greater than 1 cost-benefit ratio, and that's the process we're going through right now. It's important for us to get together because the coastal communities, the ports and so on that support the economy of this nation are critical. And so it concerns everybody, even if you live in the desert or on a mountaintop. Your products all come through these port facilities. And the threat from sea level rise is very real. I think that the community understands our local issue, flooding. But I think that to a large extent they consider it just a short-term nuisance, and they don't quite have the understanding that that it threatens the economy, and it threatens in that sense everybody's livelihood, not just to us locally, but regionally, nationally. Well, what they see is little puddles of water in the road, and they see flooding on an occasional basis. Very often it occurs at midnight, and they don't even know about it. Some people are objecting to water in their basements, but there is a threat, and there others. It just depends on where they're located, because others feel that their wells are threatened. Septic systems, we're all relying upon septic in our town. We don't have yet at least, we don't have a single sanitary system. So when a septic system backs up or is flooded, then you notice. Yeah, we're very grateful recently that we participated with several higher education institutions in the state, New Jersey Institute of Technology and Montclair University and Rutgers, to apply for a grant from the New Jersey Sea Grant, which is which comes under NOAA. And so we're finally getting some real science, some real attention to our local problem, and we'll get some scientific studies and some engineering, which will prepare us for future opportunities to build the protection that we need. Yeah.